But what exactly is a miracle? The sun comes up in the morning. Is that a miracle?
No. No. I would say no.
The sun sets every night. Is that a miracle?
That's a tragedy.
Is the nature of the sun to come up, or is the nature of the sun to set? Which one is the miracle? Can it be both? Okay, so the definition of miracle is when God does something and people notice. That's a miracle. Because objectively, everything's a miracle. Like, what makes the sun rise or set? Nobody knows. It's a miracle. What makes grass grow? What makes water flow?
That rhymes, yes.
It's all a miracle. But nobody notices. But when something unusual happens and the insurance companies call it an act of God, because they don't want to pay for it, now all of a sudden it's a miracle. So really, creation is a miracle, the ultimate miracle. The world comes into existence out of nothing. Come on, that's a miracle. But then we watch the sun come up and we watch it go down, and we watch it come up and we watch it go down. And all of a sudden, it's not a miracle. It has become too predictable. So a miracle repeated often becomes nature. And that's what nature actually means. Nature means the force of habit. We get used to something, we stop getting excited. That's true of everything. The sages say, a constant pleasure is no pleasure. Get used to it. It gets boring. So there's a story in the Talmud that there was this one sage who was very familiar and accustomed to miracles. Miracles happened around him all the time. So one Friday night, his daughter prepared the candle, Shabbos candle, and in those days it was not wax, it was oil, an oil candle. So she filled the, what is it called?
Vessel.
You know, where the genie comes out of? A lamp, right. She fills the lamp with vinegar, thinking that it's oil. And it's the last minute before Shabbos. She lights it, and she realizes it smells like vinegar. And she knows that it's going to go out in a minute. As soon as the wick is consumed, it's going to go out. So she started to cry. And she told her father, I'm sorry, but it's going to be dark in the house because I used vinegar. And her father said, these are the famous words, he who tells oil to burn, tonight he's going to tell vinegar to burn. And the vinegar burned 24 hours, the entire Shabbos. Okay, now, miracles are miracles, but the explanation, he didn't just say, the vinegar will burn. He said, he who tells oil to burn will tell the vinegar to burn. What he meant to say was, why does oil burn and vinegar doesn't? There's no reason. There's nothing about oil that makes it burn, and there's nothing wrong with vinegar that doesn't let it burn. It's just that when God created oil, he said, you burn. And when he created vinegar, he said, you just make things sour. But tonight, God is going to tell the vinegar to burn. And for him, it's all the same. Tell the oil to burn, tell the vinegar to burn. What's the difference? Which means the oil, when it burns, is a miracle. And the vinegar, when it's going to burn, will also be a miracle. So it's not that different. So here is a really interesting way of illustrating this point. If you have 1,000 pieces of paper, on 999 of them it says yes. On one it says no. Mix them all together, put them in a hat, pick out one piece. It's the no. Put it back in, mix them all together, pick out one. It's the no. You do it again, the no. 10 times in a row, you come up with the no. Now you're going to do it an 11th time. What are you expecting?
Yes. No.
Yes or no?
No.
You're expecting a yes. How about if 100 times in a row you come out with the no? Now what are you expecting?
I'm 101. Huh? I'm stupid. I still expect the yes.
That makes absolute sense. But
Miracles don't make sense.
But people are going to say, oh, come on, be realistic. 100 times in a row, the no came up, it'll come up again. And you say, but there are 999 yeses against one no. The force of habit. If the no keeps coming up, all logic goes out the window. And all of a sudden, it's realistic. It's realistic to expect the no. When in fact, it is not realistic at all. And if you say you're expecting the yes, they'll tell you you're not reasonable, you're not realistic, you're out of touch with reality. So there was a famous, they attribute it to different people, so I don't know who to quote. But the quotation is, if you don't believe in miracles, you're just not realistic. Mm-hmm. Is that not true?
No.
Yeah. And that's particularly true of the Jewish people. Any Jew who says, I don't believe in miracles, has not read his own history. Doesn't even have to be history. We were just talking on the weekend, and somebody said, how come miracles don't happen anymore like in the olden days? In the last year, how many rockets landed in Israel? From Gaza, from other places, how many rockets landed in Israel? How many fatalities? That's not miracles of biblical proportion. I mean, these are not toy rockets. And they do land. What is that? Israel is not that big. It's not like they are wide open spaces. It is nothing. I mean, we live with miracles constantly. So that's what the sage was saying to his daughter. You're worried that vinegar doesn't burn? What do you think oil does? If God tells it to burn, it burns. God tells the vinegar will burn. So everything in nature is really an act of God. But when he repeats himself, we stop getting excited. So the miracle of Hanukkah was that people noticed the miraculousness of it and were inspired. That's a miracle. Otherwise, we can be inspired every day by the sun coming and going. And So the miracle was that the oil that was enough for one day lasted 8 days. Why 8 days? Because it took 8 days to prepare clean oil. Oil that hadn't been contaminated by the invasion, by the Greeks, Syrians. So the problem was that 8 days later, when they had clean, pure oil, and they lit the menorah with it, they forgot that that was a miracle too. When no miracle happens, that's a miracle too. It's just our nature that we can't get excited too often over the same thing. And that's why you notice in the Bible, in the Torah, God's miracles are never the same. Here he splits a sea, here he makes food come out of the sky, here he makes water come out of a stone. Why don't you just use a stone for everything? Make water come out of a stone, food come out of a stone, split the sea with a stone. Just get one magical stone and do everything. Boring. God's imagination, always a different. Here the earth swallows him up, right? Every time something different. And people think it's always a lightning bolt. No, maybe once or twice. Because if he uses the same miracle, we're going to just say, oh yeah.
Right there.
No.
It's a rerun.
Like if 3 people got swallowed up by the earth, we would say, oh, sinkholes. Sinkholes are weird. I don't know why that's not a miracle. Oh, it's a sinkhole. Oh, because you've seen it before? That's why it's not a miracle. We get dull. I mean, you get married and you're happy for 2 weeks. That's not a miracle? 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a year? It's all miracle. You're just getting used to it. You've got a constant miracle going on. So which way should we go? Should we say, don't get excited about a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Or should we say, don't get so comfortable with nature. It's all miraculous. So is everything a miracle or nothing's a miracle? Nature is miraculous. Well, then what does that mean? It's all nature or it's all miracle? So if you don't want to kill yourself from too much excitement, you say it's nature. Because to be constantly getting excited about the miracle could be exhausting. And you'll have to celebrate every night and eat latkes. And by the way, what do we talk about this? Why do we eat latkes?
Latkes.
Where you have?
Yeah.
They're potato pancakes, right? Made in oil. Oil. The miracle of oil. So now you have to eat oily stuff. The miracle that happened with sugar, we have to eat sugary stuff. The miracle that happened with
Onions?
spinach, we would have to eat broccoli. So that everything fits. On Passover, we eat unleavened bread because it was a humbling experience. And unleavened means humble. Doesn't rise. No yeast. On Purim, we eat, what are they called? English.
There is no.
Delicious.
What is it called? It's poppy.
Obviously.
It's delicious.
Anyway, it's cookies filled with poppy seed. In other words, something filled or surrounded, because the miracle of Purim happened in disguise. There was no obvious miracle. So the dough covered the contents. So what do we have? Poppy seed?
Oh, apricot.
Just cover something with something. And that's also why we wear masks on Purim. It's not Halloween. It's because the miracle was hidden, disguised as nature. So the foods match the moods or the miracle. So have you had some latkes? You notice the oiliness?
Would you like some?
Oy,
I got you.
these holidays can kill you.
That it doesn't is a miracle.
So what was happening before I came in? Before I
Waiting for you.
interrupted the party?
Any questions? No question.
Everything is.
Yeah.
Everything is crystal clear.
All right, pass the latkes.
I don't know that.
If you enjoyed this conversation or this topic, and you're looking for more information, or you want to hear it again from another angle, there is a way to do that. And that is in this book. It's all there. Order it from Amazon. You can read it, reread it, and share it.